Hello, this is another update about my audio journey, and a couple of days ago I received my new turntable. It's a Technics 1200G, and you can see it already here in its full glory and beauty. I think it's not really the typical high-end record player with a lot of styling and fancy bits and parts everywhere. It's more kind of an engineer's product, I would call it, and I decided to go for this one and give it a try because I really quite like once to listen to a direct drive, and why not directly start with one of the best ones which is probably available on the market right now. At least in a reasonably affordable range without going into the tens of thousands of euro and so on. And I just give you my first impressions after also a little bit of a couple of hours of listening to it. I mounted a Denon 103 cartridge to it, and the head shell was directly delivered with the turntable itself. Assembly of the turntable super easy, all straightforward. You just put the platen down, 3 screws for the fixation of the platen to the drive, and off you go. At the back there are some cables that you can put in, and this is already one point where I would like to start to explain a little bit what I like or dislike also about it. And like mentioned, these are just really my very personal impressions, and I only have got it a couple of days, so it's much too early to come up with something which is a bit more funded and proven also. So just a couple of small things now. So just trying to the backside, and I hope you can see through all of this chaos and disaster here what I'm trying to point out, and I see that you can't see anything at all, really. So I think maybe you need to just really trust my words. So here in this corner here, there's the connector for the 220 volt plug. It's a shielded ground plug also, and it goes it moves in transversal direction, so it's plugged in the width direction of the record player, which I think is quite a nice move, because I think it gives a little bit of flexibility also to the cable routing, and it doesn't stick out at the back, so it can directly go down like here, but you can also route it to the sides, whatever is your liking. The cable itself is a really thick, stiff cable. It's 3 times 1.5 square millimeter cross section copper cable, and it looks like it's nothing fancy, but a good standard audio cable. The connectors of the now it's getting a little bit too difficult to show anything at all, but I think I'm also now too close. Maybe if I zoom out, the camera manages to focus. Here directly you can see the terminals where the tone arm connects to, and it's in fact also directly more or less the basis of the tone arm. So the wires are running through the arm down through the chassis and exit directly here at the bottom, which I think is also quite nice one. But the accessibility is not ideal, because you can see already directly here that there's also one of the foots or one of the feet to which the turntable is supported. So yeah, the cables come in at a little bit of an angle, so not directly from the back, but a little bit leaned towards the left side, which makes it a little bit easier, but still not really ideal, I would think. And especially for, let's say, a professional music turntable, so which is used in discos, clubs, and so on. Maybe not the best setup, but something that you normally don't worry about too often. So what I've done here now, just really to improvise something and to get something going. You can see I really very, very high end, like put it onto some some wooden blocks. with the intention that I could swap out cables quite easily, and my phono pre sits directly underneath. So theoretically I need like 10 centimeters of cable and I'm directly in my phono pre and can go out with an already amplified system into my small little darling. And this is the whole point of setting it up like this. Otherwise I could have just left off the wooden blocks, everything put down to the table, but unfortunately then my also still quite improvised preamp needs to go somewhere else and the cables would be longer and everything will be a bit more difficult. So in the end, what I'm thinking of is to have a kind of a preamp, whatever form. Doesn't need to be a solid state like now. In fact, I'm building on a tube phono preamp also at the moment. And this will replace this one very, very likely. And the idea is once I switch on the turntable, the phono pre automatically also switches on. So I don't need to worry about it. Maybe you know from the previous video that my phono preamp is battery powered. It has got close to no current draw, so that's why no problem with that. And it allows me that it's not really it doesn't need any power supply, any power line, and it gets very, very clean DC out of the batteries. So there's still some buffer of capacitors to help support current, even though maybe it's in a half milliamp range or so, but not really an awful lot anyway. So going back to the turntable itself, what I really, really like about this turntable, which I did not really expect that I liked it so much. I knew, of course, about the features, but I didn't really know that I would like it so much, is I think the tone arm lift has got a really, really great feel, and it's very, very smooth, and it's very defined. So by moving the lever, you can really almost, I would say, in a matter of a millimeter or tenths of a millimeter, lower it. Very, very controlled. This is something which I like a lot. Then the mounting of the head shell. I was never really so much of a fan of it, because normally I don't think it's a good idea to have a connection, and in particular an electronic connection and a mechanical connection to a very, very sensitive device, which is your head shell with your pickup at the front. So normally I would always avoid it, because to me it never can be the best solution. But here I think so far no complaints, and in fact it's also one of the reasons why I went for the turntable as well, because I would like to use one turntable and not several arms to swap out different systems, because I also listen to quite old records and also even some shellac records as well, which sometimes can be of a phenomenal audio quality. Because even though I'm elaborating now on shellac, if you think about it, it has got everything which normally would be considered high-end. It has got a very hefty, thick and heavy disc to which the grooves are cut into. It runs on 78 RPM, so not even on 45 or something, but 78. And usually they are absolutely flat, even after 100 years. So yeah, they have got some advantages. Of course, they've got a lot of disadvantages, and I can't talk about sound wave propagation within the material and how it compares to vinyl and all of this other crap that people talk about maybe. But nevertheless, they can sound quite nice. One thing which is also quite nice, which I haven't really used, because normally I always have got enough light in my room, is there's a small little pop-up light. You can see that you can just really push it down and it's gone, and it switches off automatically. If you push down the small little button on the right directly next to it, it has got a dampened movement, so it doesn't crush up against an end stop or so, but it really has got a kind of a dampened movement, and when it lifts up, it automatically also switches on. Quite nice feature. So far don't really use it so much, but if there's a little bit of a dim light, I don't really need to switch on my complete living room light, but I can just really run it like this, and I'm quite sure it will work quite fine. I haven't really tested it yet in reality. The other thing here in the strobe, you've got the on-off switch, and this directly also switches on the strobe. And you know already anyway, you've got the different tracks for the different RPMs. And this is another nice thing. If you switch the whole thing on, now, sorry, it doesn't switch on because I switched on the, didn't switch on the power. Yeah, you can see the strobe switches on, and the turntable, once you switch it on, accelerates to whatever speed, if it's 45 or 33 or even also 78 if you push both buttons, in less than a second. And you would think, oh, I don't care, it's running anyway all of the time. But this is also what I've done most of the time with my other 25-year-old Rega Planar turntable, which I modified quite a bit. But it's really super nice. I like it a lot. Just really this super. If you watch the strobe, how quick this will stabilize once I switch it on. So done. It's incredible. And the best is, so it's very simple and easy to change records. And now I find myself with the habit of always using the on-off switch, whereas previously I always left the turntable running, which means when you lift or take off your record, there's a bit of a danger of scratching things. But if you don't do it, it might be also, it takes 100 years till your turntable stabilizes again at a certain RPM. So this is something which is super nice. And now maybe you know it all already, but if you switch it off, it's the same. There's an electric brake, so the drive accelerates it very quickly, but also it slows it down very quickly. So if you push the button and you get your hands to the record as fast as you can, the turntable is already off. And certainly nothing which is ever linked to high end or anything, but I just really like it. So this is nothing that increases the audio quality or the fidelity or anything, but it's just a joy to use. So maybe just really for one more demonstration, how fast the thing accelerates and stops. I like it a lot. So this one, even though it looks like you cannot push it down, this is always at the top, and the button here at the top to really switch it on or off is a very nice feeling, like all of the buttons, by the way. The only thing which loses a bit in quality is, this one here, the slider, which I anyway don't use. This is a little bit wiggly. This is also not aluminium but plastic. Anything else on the turntable is really aluminium. So really well done. And here I just don't use it anyway. I just leave it at a certain speed, and I also put it to reset, which means like it's overriding anyway whatever there is, so it has got no effect. But I really wanted to have the 1200G and not the 1300G, which doesn't have this feature, but it's also a different turntable. So this one, in terms of quality, is certainly let's say a higher quality turntable than the 1300G. So one of the things that I don't like is also just really a bit of a detail only, and I can anyway just talk about some details because I haven't really given the turntable a chance really to show its true potential, because I just really have it a couple of days now. So the movement of the arm, if you look at moving the arm, maybe you can hear slightly that there's an aluminium bracket which has got a downward facing point which sits on something rubberized of the tone arm lift. This is something which I quite like because it really locks the position of the arm and it doesn't slide or does something silly depending on your anti-skating setup. So it's not like you would have the arm when lowering sliding towards the outboard side when you drop it. And I think this is something which I also quite like about this one. So it stays stable and the cartridge goes down vertically. So you know exactly, and I think this is also important for a professional turntable. You can see exactly where you have to position the needle, can get it down with the lever in a very, very controlled way, and hit exactly the track that you would like to hear. But then there's one thing which I don't like at all, and I'm sure I will modify this, and this is linked to a habit which I've got to this kind of locking mechanism that you see here. I hope you can see it, that the camera focuses properly. Usually I very, very much like to lock the arm in the lifted position, because to me that is the safest position you can have your tone arm. But here on this turntable, I don't know who came up with this idea or what's the deeper meaning about it, but you need to lower it, and maybe you can see that there's this gap just really here underneath the tone arm, so it does not rest on the on the lower bottom stop. But you can also not, or you could, but then you would need to force your locking mechanism to push the tone arm down and to force it down. And this is certainly nothing that you would like to do or that you want to do, because it loads the tone arm lift quite heavily, because it pushes it down with brute force to get to the locking. So what you need to do is you need to lower the tone arm, and now it's in the position that you can now you can see even that even this fails. You can lock it. And to me, this offers a big danger that you're damaging your arm, either in the process of locking it, not your arm, your pickup, either while locking it and it's moving somewhere, or because I was at least used to a different mechanism that the locking was always done in the upper position. But if you now think, oh, maybe a day later or so, let's play a record, you unlock it and you move, you just, you'd say, move your arm over to the start of the record, it's far too low, and the pickup will crash into whatever is in the way, and maybe damages your needle or anything else. This is something which I don't like. So what I'll do is I'll change the height of this black armrest piece, so that it sits a little bit higher, and that there's no gap anymore underneath the tone arm, so I can lock it in the upper position. This is at least what I would like to do. So once I unlock it, I would like to do whatever I like with the arm without being in the risk of damaging something. So this is something which I don't really like so much. What is a good thing, on the other hand, is that you can, I removed the cover. There's also a quite nice cover that comes with the turntable, but you can put down the cover, and the top of your arm lifter is not in the way of the top closure. So it doesn't hit, you can easily close it, no problem, everything's okay. And this is also how I store it normally. One feature, maybe not really so very interesting, but for the ones which wonder what this is about, this is just for the 45 record centerpiece, quite nice one. Really machined aluminium also, so no cheap crap. And you can store it directly in the turntable. You see also here they thought about having a bit of a pocket machined into the big pocket, so that you can just really push it down on one side and you can easily grab it. But it doesn't fall down either. It's not magnetically attached or so, but I think it works really well. So this first of all to the turntable, and just really the first thing after listening that I took care of was the rubber mat. So I first installed the system, did the adjustment and alignment, at least roughly, and it's already quite good, I think, and gave a listen to the turntable. And I have to say, I was not really very convinced, to say the least. So it sounded really bright and was a step back compared to my modified railgun for sure. Of course, early days, the railgun was integrated into my system and this one is not. So it still needs to work its way into the system, and I'm sure it has got the higher potential for, in the end, a better sound, but at the very beginning it didn't. One of the very easy and simple changes I directly did was to just really have a look at the rubber mat, which comes with the turntable. And what I've done, I already put a couple of different mats that I've tried here on top. So the one here at the top, the rubber one, is the one that comes with the turntable. And I have to say, this one is just an offense to any customer. This is an absolute piece of crap in terms of sound. So a really big step up was already directly to go to my old Rega Felt, or glossy kind of mat, which was much better already. But the one thing which I noticed with the rubber mat, but also with this kind of felt material, I don't know what's the exact expression, it's not felt from an animal or so, but you know, this thick cloth stuff. And what I noticed also with the rubber mat is that it has got a bit of a higher static. So I sometimes, even though it's grounded, I get some crackle due to statics. And this is particular, or is for my taste at least, something which I normally don't experience, but I had with the rubber mat and also with this thick cloth mat. What I then just, and I have to say with this one it already sounds quite nice, so it's a really nice turntable, but compared to my Rega, it has got a bit more of a, let's call it audiophile sound, so you've got a really very high resolution in terms of audio, all of the instruments, the positioning and whatever else, but it is, how do you say, the highs are a little bit too sharp to me, and I wouldn't say harsh, but it's just a bit too much bias towards the heights and less emphasis on the mid and lows, which I normally would prefer for a little bit softer, smoother sound. But nothing that can be fixed also with not another mat. This is the one which I just really cut from a sheet of leather. You can see that this is about, or maybe you can't see, but I can tell you that this is about 2.5–3 millimeters thickness. Still a little bit of a wave in it, but this is certainly the one which I prefer. And again, I just really switch through the mats like 2–3 songs each mat, and then directly the next one. But the big advantage, if you've got a high resolving system, is that you can do it because the system has got such a high fidelity and resolution that you hear the differences immediately. So you don't really need to listen for days, but you switch one for another and you immediately hear if it's going the right direction. Certainly over time, break in, blah blah blah, things are going to change. But what I'm going to do is I'm going through a couple of quick changes, and whatever is best I keep. This is not definitive, and I will revert back through any kind of other modifications at certain times. But I would like to have the system as good as possible, as quick as possible. Another variation I tried was to not really use anything, and I would think that this might be even the second best. Is maybe hard to say. I think the Felt was probably still a better choice than this one, but it wasn't really too bad. But nevertheless, it shifted the sound even a bit more towards the brighter side of life. But also, even though maybe the mids and lows don't actually get quieter, if you get more of the height, you either can say you've got too much height, or you can say you've got too little lows. It's just the relation between the two, which lead to a little bit of an imbalance. So to me, currently the best choice for sure, this one, just really the sheet of leather, and there's really nothing special about it. I had some sheet of leather still lying around, and I just really cut it out. It cost almost nothing, and it's very, very quickly done. So nothing that I would think I would spend 120, 150, 200 euro on or something. So this still has got a bit of a wave, and I'll put an old platen on top, and then I'll give it a try. What just really fell down were my notes, because compared to just really rambling about something more or less randomly, I actually made some notes about some points that I wanted. Yeah, it seems that not only my notes fell down, but also that my video stopped. Maybe I pushed the wrong button or whatever. But nevertheless, I would like to focus in the future on single items and not talk about loudspeakers, amplifiers, record players, CD players and everything in one video, but really just to focus on one object of desire, and then to just really get a couple of things together. I already made some notes of what I like to speak about during the next videos, and I'll probably upload them from time to time whenever I'm fancy doing a video. Yeah, and again, it's not really to promote any product or to do anything commercially, but it's really for my own benefit. I have to say that I started to have a bit of fun on doing it, but it's really also for my own reference, which I think is one of the most important points, to just really clear up my mind and to think about a couple of things and put them all into a context, and then to record them also, to come back to it whenever my memory is again a bit bad and I don't know what I've done. So that's all for today, and come up with something new sometime soon.